Everyone, and thank you, President Maurice. I see you just attached, or the agenda has been attached, but it's taking a minute for it to come up because I'm using oh, never mind, I just got it. So we do not have a prepared speech for this evening. Am I reading that right? Yes, we do not have a prepared speech. Okay, very good. But we do have what appears to be almost a full house, so I'm excited to be in attendance this evening. And we've gone over our club business, so I will introduce myself as the Toastmaster. The role of a Toastmaster is to just kind of guide the meeting along. Our meeting consists of three major parts. The first one is prepared speeches. The second portion is most people's favorites, including mine, which is a table topics portion where we will have a table topics master or leader that will take us through a series of questions and let anyone that wants to give a 1 to 2 minute pocket speech as a response to that question. Third and last section of our meeting is the evaluation portion, in which we will call on a team of people that will give their reports or their evaluations of the meeting. With that being said, I would like to talk to those that have a role tonight. The first person I would like to speak to is Maurice, and he will give us our word of the day and tell us our theme and also give us a little information about his role. Maurice,
Yes,
please come to the
evening
lectern.
as the all counter grammarian. I'll be counting the ahs and other filler words too. And also check for misuse of the English language. Our theme for tonight is back to school. And our word of the day is cultivate. And it's a verb. It has two meanings. They're both common definition, common meanings. The first one is to prepare or use land for crops or gardening. The peasants who cultivated the land became its owners. And then the second definition, which is used just about as often, is try to acquire or develop, as in a quality, sentiment, or a skill. He cultivated an air of indifference. So that is the word of the day, cultivate. And the theme again is back to school. And that is my role as the all counter and grammarian. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Maurice, for taking a role this evening and for explaining it to us. I would like to call on I was going to say our treasurer, because I just happened to see Peory's face, but I would like to call on our timer. Please, could you tell us your role for the evening?
Yes, yes, Miss Toastmaster. Um, my role for the night is being the timer. Basically, I'll be keeping track of the times. Like I don't need to go through the times again because y'all basically already know that. So basically, at each time interval, I would be so they have different types of time. So seven topics is 1 to 2 minutes. A prepared speech would be 5 to 7 minutes. Only otherwise, if another person says at different times, and for the evaluations to be 2 to 3 minutes.
Oh,
So the way I'm gonna do it is the green clover hat will be at 5 minutes, 1 minute, and 2 minutes. This orange eye will be from 6 minutes, 1 minute and 3 seconds, and 2 minutes and 3 seconds. And this red South Alabama hat, whoever that's fans of that, it'll be 7 minutes, 2 minutes, and 3 minutes. That's the quick version of my role for the evening. Back to
Thank
Madam
you.
Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Donovan, for taking your role and for explaining it to us this evening. Great job. Now let's talk to our general evaluator, please.
Good evening, Toastmasters. I am your evaluator tonight. I'll see you in the last portion of this meeting, which is evaluation. I'll make overall evaluation for this meeting tonight. So I'll see you later. Back to you, Olivia.
Okay, let's see. I think we've gone over them all. General evaluator, timer, grammarian, all counter. Okay, thank you very much. We thank you everyone for taking the role tonight and for telling us about it. If I'm not missing anyone, I'm sorry I don't have the agenda in front of me at the second. We will move into just to confirm, we do not have a prepared speech. Okay, we will move into our second portion of the meeting, which is our table topics portion. And oh yes, I'm sorry. At this time, let's hear from our table topics master to tell us a little bit about your role this evening and to go ahead and take the lectern and begin the second portion of this meeting.
Sure. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Good evening, everyone. I'm David, and I will be your Table Topics Master this evening. As Table Topics Master, I will be asking some impromptu questions, and you will have hopefully 1 to 2 minutes to answer. If you're under 1 minute or over 2 minutes, that's okay, but we try to keep table topics between 1 and 2 minutes. And this is a good opportunity to work on if your boss at work asks you a question off the top of his head or her head, and you need to think of an answer. This is a good way to practice that sort of thing, or just having to answer something without prior preparation. And because our theme is back to school, I will be asking some questions relating to back to school. I think all of us are either in college or have attended college in the past. So I thought I would make the back to school sort of a college themed back to school. And what I did was interesting. I have been playing around with the Microsoft Edge browser, has a search engine called Bing, and Bing has a new feature which you may have heard about on the news and things. They've incorporated ChatGTP into their search engine, so you can ask ChatGTP questions. So I did. I asked ChatGTP. First, I said, please list 10 good questions for Toastmasters table topics using the theme of college life. And then I went on, I asked it to list 10 more college questions that are perhaps more difficult or emotionally triggering to answer, just to see what it did. And it came up with some somewhat interesting questions. So I will start with the first one, and anyone would like to volunteer, raise your hand and I will pick you. The first question is, what is the best or worst, or both, what is the best and worst thing about being a college student? Okay, Caleb has his hand up. Please answer, Caleb.
Thank you, David. I imagine this one would be fitting as I'm still technically classified as a college student. But my answer to the question was, what is the best and also what is the worst thing about being a college student? Fellow Toastmasters, I would have to say that the best thing about being a college student, at least a college student at the level that I'm at right now, is the freedom of schedule that I have. So a really interesting thing that I get to do is I determine my own schedule, which isn't always the case in a PhD. there are certainly bosses that are very much sticklers for you come in at 8, you leave by 6, and you work the full day, no questions asked. I've been pretty lucky that my boss is extremely hands-off. And as long as he sees me working and continues to see the work that I put out, he never asks me what I'm doing, what my schedule is, how many hours I put towards the lab that day, which is really nice. I would love to be able to work my own hours at the next stage of my career as well, and I'm working really hard to make it that way. That's also the worst thing about being in college or being a college student at this level, because when you work your own hours, or when you determine your own hours, there's no one who's holding you accountable except for yourself. And when you hold yourself accountable, and when you're trying, you have this in your mind constantly of, I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to do this. It ends up with some days where you've pushed yourself to the brink and you've burnt yourself out. And that's where I'm at now, where today I'm just exhausted, and it's from staying up way too late. But that's okay, and that is my answer for the best and worst things about college. Back to you, Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Caleb. And I love that answer. It's funny, I was really thinking the exact same thing in freedom. What the best thing about college, because I went and started college right out of high school, and high school, you have all these restrictions. You have to be here. Everybody's watching you. And college is like, oh, is this, I can do what I want. And it's also absolutely the worst thing too, because I can do what I want. And my self-discipline took some while to get a control of, but it's a great answer.
I
Thank
agree
you.
with that, David.
Yeah, it's something. Next question this is a pretty easy one as well, I think. How did you choose your major, and are you happy with that decision? I think Maurice had your hand up there. Go ahead, Maurice.
Fellow Toastmasters, the question that was asked is, in so many words, how did I decide my major, and is it the best? And looking back, is it the best decision that I made? When I first entered college, while taking the basics for the STEM majors, the higher level math and the English courses and other basic courses, I was actually undecided between some type of engineering, architecture, and computer science. And I believe it was during the first semester of my sophomore year that I decided to major in mechanical engineering. And I guess one thing that I thought about majoring in engineering was that when I was younger, still in high school, I thought about designing cars or components of cars. But of course that didn't case, but choosing mechanical engineering as a major was a good choice for me. And I was able to cultivate skills as an engineer, not only a mechanical engineer, but other engineering disciplines also. It's some of those skills. Back to you, Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Maurice. And yeah, I can definitely relate to some of that. It's, as you know, I'm also an engineer, and that was just the best fit for me and something I enjoyed doing. I think if I had to do it over again, instead of civil engineering, I may have chosen a different discipline, but definitely engineering was a good fit for me, and I've enjoyed my career with it. So another question is, how did you deal with loneliness, isolation, or homesickness in college? And what are some of the resources or support that you have or need? And Donovan has his hand up, I think. Go ahead, Donovan.
Thank you, David. The reason why I decided to do this one because I can relate to this more than anyone else because I am an actual college student as of right now. So my question was, how do I deal with the can you repeat the question, please?
Sure. How do you deal with the loneliness or isolation or homesickness when you're in college? And what are some of the resources or supports that you have received for that?
Okay, thank you. So basically, I've been through that for a while. It's not always easy being quarantined, like we say that right now due to COVID, but now I'm able to get classes on campus. So that helps with the social aspect of college for me. As I don't know if you know, but I'm a very social, life giving person, you know, a people person as well. The other feelings that I have is mostly due to my grandparents. I don't know if y'all know, but my grandmother died about 2 years ago, and my grandfather died just recently, a couple of weeks ago. And I, due to all that stuff, I've been in the emotional ringer. I'm still mad that I don't have any grandparents left, but the way that I try to cope with that is to bury myself in the room of school. It kind of helps me to progress in college. And by progressing, I'll be graduating next May. So that's a plus for me. So with all of that, I can definitely say that I've been through mental lingo, and it's not always easy to deal with all that, especially by yourself. But I do have a good support system with my parents and everybody else. Thank you. Back to you, David.
Thank you, Donovan. And that's a great answer as well. And college can be useful in that aspect as something to focus on so that we're not having to think about other things at that time. So, another question. This is a little more triggering, perhaps. Have you ever experienced or witnessed discrimination, harassment, or even violence in college? And how did you handle it?
That's a tough one, but I'll try it, David.
Sure, thank you, Olivia. Go
Yeah.
right ahead.
Thank you. So the question is, have I ever experienced discrimination, harassment, or violence while in college? And the answer in short would be no. But if I had to say that I experienced a time where I would have wished that I had been treated differently and I wasn't, then the answer will be yes. And I'll tell you a quick story. So, one of my church members is also a doctor of biology, and he teaches anatomy and physiology, which is what I needed. I've already taken anatomy and physiology 1. I needed A&P 2 to go into my degree. And so I went to his class and he said, Olivia, I'll tell you one thing. My class is not easy. Most people do not like me as a teacher. And I wasn't expecting any handouts. And boy, did I not get a 1. So I was real professional the whole entire semester. I called him by his name. Yes, Dr. So and so, and no, Dr. So and so. And at the end of the semester, he gave me an I for incomplete. And I said, what did I miss? And he said, I told you you were missing a test grade. And I was like, what? So he said, I tell you what, just come back and you can take the test. I'll give you an I, take the test, and once you pass it, I will turn in your grade, which is totally legal. So he wasn't, again, doing me any favors. So I ended up going back to class at a different location, and he pretty much made me go to class for the entire semester before he reassigned that test. So I went to class 2 semesters to get 1 grade. And he so happened to say, hey, Olivia, don't forget to call the sopranos for choir rehearsal this coming Friday. And some of the people in the classroom heard him say it because we were just getting ready to go on a break. And they said, wait a minute, you know this man? And I was like, yeah, actually, I do. I've been knowing him for many years. And she said, you purposely took this class? And I was like, yeah, I don't know what I was thinking. A lot of hard work, and I still got a C in the class. Sure wish some bias would have kicked in and he treated me a little differently, but I guess I got the grade that I deserved. So I made it through A&P 2 with the strictest teacher I've ever had. So that has been my lack of bias. I know you didn't necessarily say bias, but that's sort of similar to discrimination. And thankfully, I did not experience any violence at my school at the times, any of the colleges that I attended. I know I ran over my time. Back to you, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Olivia, and I enjoyed that story as well. And I think you handled that probably as well as possible. I think the phrase that comes to my mind is the customer is always right. It's like the professor is always right. If you fight with the professor, you're going to lose unless you have a really sound reason to do so. So it's
Right.
really good to be humble or swallow your pride and do what's asked. But thank you very much.
Thank you.
Another question is, what is a memorable or funny experience that you had in college or with your classmates or professors? Something that happened that's just funny or interesting. Donovan, would you like to go again? Go ahead.
Yeah, because it's a funny story. That's one reason why. Tell me when, Maurice. My first year of college, I was the manager for the men's basketball team. It was a Saturday. It was game day. It was an Alabama game that was coming up later that day. I went to practice wearing the Alabama shirt. What happened was that the coach used to coach at Auburn for the women's team. At that time, he said, take that shirt off, or switch it, or put it in backwards. I didn't know what to do, so I just did it anyways. I was a little upset, but most of the team members came up to me and said, ah, man, that happens all the time. Like, he even tells us the same thing. So at that time, I had to laugh just because it was just fun. And I just thought that's a funny story to tell y'all. The second funny story, same situation, but in a different way. So my sister's parents-in-laws was down for my nephew's baptism, and I was showing the his whole parents-in-laws around on campus, and I was dressed in all Alabama clothes, and the coach came up and said, "Go Tigers," or something like that. I can't remember. Or say, "What are you doing with all that clothes on?" I was embarrassed. My cheeks turned red as my font, and I just laughed. And those are two stories I just wanted to share because it was kind of fun and a little embarrassing for me, but I think that kind of wants the embarrassment of actually telling all these stories. I'm done. Back to you.
Thank you, Donovan. And yeah, it's always good to hear a good story, and that is great. Especially, I know sport teams can be very emotionally triggering, and so I could imagine a coach doing that. And so we could do at least one more. Let me ask, let's see, how about what is a subject, a college subject, say, that you love or one that you hated, and why?
I'll take that if no one else does. Oh, wait a minute. Carrie, did you already answer?
It's okay. I'll give you. Nothing
Okay.
personal.
You give it to me?
Sure, go ahead, Olivia.
Okay, sure. What is a subject that you said that I hated, I didn't like, and why?
Love either one that you loved or one that you hated, either way.
Okay. My favorite subject in college was Old Testament learning, and I it really made me look at reading the Bible from more of an academic or from a piece of literature standpoint, and it allowed me to really try to go back in time in history and sort of submerge myself into what the culture looked like, what the environment was, and what shaped people's understandings and ways of doing things. And my most hated was, or disliked, shall I say, was literature. I don't, all of them. Why do I have to prove I'm a decent human being by reading a 600-page of what? I just don't understand why I have a semester to read these big, huge books and you're going to test me on them. Just does not make any sense to me. If you want to see how well I can and retain a topic, then make it something that's worth reading. I really don't care about Shakespeare. Back to you, Table Topics Master David.
Thank you, Olivia. Those are some great answers, and I appreciate the table topic. We could try, I think we have time maybe for just one more since we don't have any speech evaluations. And let's see. How about this? ChatGTP asked, what is a lesson or value that you learned from college or from someone in college? And I think they mean what is something you got out of college, something you learned that you may not have learned elsewhere. And Carrie has her hand up.
What I learned through my old college experience is simply well, my college life is basically in the US as an international student. All the English always challenge for me. But what I definitely learned through the college experience, tell what I want, my opinion. Actually, that was very challenge for me because of my culture. We sometimes not supposed to tell. We should read between the lines. Actually, we call it read the air. We call it KY because it's a K stands for air in Japanese. Y means reading. And I know it's different in English or in America, but we call it, we need to skill our KY. So we don't really have to tell because other people supposed to read my mind. But here I have to tell. No one read it. It's more like tell, talk. That's American culture. So I need to learn that. If I need a help, I have to go get it. If I have a question, I have to go ask. But it's quite challenge for me that back then because I probably have a fear if people didn't understand my question English, or if they didn't respond to me, if they ignore me, or if they mean to me, always some sort of fear around me. But if I ask for question, if I ask for help, if I tell something, people always respond to me. Sometimes miscommunication, of course. Sometimes the answer they get me was not quite that I was looking for. Or sometimes, of course, I got hurt because they don't mean to hurt me, but I sometimes that happened because of miscommunication, whatever. But just tell. And sometimes I need to take somebody's conversation, grab the conversation toward me. Sometimes not interrupt, but sometimes I have to talk louder to get attention. But that's all learning. It's more show up myself, me, and that's what I learned. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Carrie. And that's a great answer as well. Just the cultural differences and just learning to speak up for yourself. And that's part of what college is all about, really becoming an adult. I mean, we're sort of young adults when we start college, most of us, but that's what it is. Do you have your hand up, Donovan?
Yeah, I just wanted to tell Carrie I know how that feels of people not understanding what I'm saying just because of my disability. It's not always easy to understand me. And I definitely do understand how it feels. I know it might feel a little different to you, but it's still the same method of around that type of feeling. Like I feel like I don't get heard enough because I talk too slow, or I don't know. Like some people pretend that they can't hear me, and they just say, "Can you speak louder? Can you?" It's really annoying to me, but I just wanted to share that quick.
Thank you, Donovan. I think you do very well, I'll say, and it's, I think we all have our strengths, and it's a matter of finding where they are, and we can all make an impact. And you're definitely making an impact. Keep doing what you're doing. Thank you. And I think we're over time a little bit, so I will turn the meeting back to our Toastmaster, Olivia.
Thank you very much, David. I really enjoyed your table topics portion of the meeting. And Donovan, I don't want to speak negatively or about anyone else, shall I say, but Since the first day I met you, I've always been amazed by your intelligence, your ability to communicate, and not just because you have a disability. And I don't think anyone even recognizes your disability amongst this group because you are a phenomenal speaker and I understand everything you say. So thank you very much. And don't worry about anybody else. They probably couldn't understand it if anybody said it. It probably wasn't you, it was probably them. Moving on to our portion is the next portion, our final portion is the evaluation portion. So we have a team and we will start with our general evaluator and they will call on the rest of the team. So that's another role that I didn't call on earlier. So who is our general evaluator for this evening? Go ahead, Ms. Kaori.
Yes. Good evening again. I am your evaluator, general evaluator tonight. Let's start with each role's report. Start with timer. Timer, Donovan? Yes.
Yes, that is correct, Carrie. I just wanted, before I even start, I just want to just to say that I always find it very fascinating on how well Carrie is with all the speeches and how she talks. It's pretty amazing to me. And that's a very good motivator for me as well. Other than that, I would like to go ahead and report my time off report. So Caleb's time was 1 minute and 38 seconds. Maurice's time was 2 minutes and 7 seconds. Olivia's first table topic was 3 minutes and 1 second. My first table topics, thanks to Maurice, was 2 minutes and 8 seconds. Carrie's first and only table topic was 2 minutes and 36 seconds. Olivia's second table topic was 1 minute and 35 seconds. And myself, thanks to Maurice, my time for my second table topic was 2 minutes and 47 seconds. I just want to end that we can all cultivate from these times to be able to improve ourselves as a speaker and to limit how long we speak. And if we do, I think it's important to at least delete something so you won't go overboard on time. Other than that, excellent job tonight. And back to the Madam General Evaluator, Carrie.
Thank you for the report, Donovan. Next, grammarian, please.
Yes, for the grammarian's report, the only thing, I guess I didn't pay attention as good as I should have, but the only thing I did notice Donovan say "so" a couple times during his table topic. And other than that, I guess I missed any other misuse. And as far as the word today, cultivate, I know I used it once. I know Donovan used it once. Did anyone else use the word cultivate? All right. I didn't notice, but I could have missed it. And that is the all counter and grammarian's report. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you for your report, Maurice. Yes, we all cultivate the skill of public speaking now. Yes, yes. Next, our counter. So who is our counter tonight?
Yes, yes. The only thing that I noticed was Donovan used "so" a couple times. That was the only thing.
Thank you.
Not that no one else, not that anyone else didn't make a mistake, but I didn't notice. Thank you.
Okay. next, I guess, I'm sorry, what's the next, probably the time to make.
Timers report. Did timers already?
We did the timer, we did the accountant, we did grammar.
Okay. Yep.
Is that all?
That's it. Now it's just time for your general evaluation.
Okay, it's time to make an overall general evaluation. Although we don't have the long speech or prepared speech tonight, we all enjoy the table topic very, very well, I believe, because I enjoyed it. The topic was come back to school, about the college. I remember the old college memory, college time. I've been really thinking about my college time while you guys talking. And we start a little bit late, but we make sure that the payment and yeah, I'll be around 9 p.m. So please do that around by 9. That'll be fine. And if that's all, and we have a good meeting. And thank you for your participation. And back to table topic. I'm sorry, back to
Toastmaster.
Toastmaster.
Thank you very much. And I agree that I think our meeting went very well. It was a great table topics portion and some very thought-provoking questions presented by David. So we thank you for that. And unless we have any other announcements, I would just want to say that I have taken the liberty to start reaching out to some of our previous members just to say hello, because I think that we should all keep in contact, not harass anybody, but we're family. So whatever brought us together, we should find a way to stay together. So I'm happy to report that I spoke with, oh my goodness, I talked to Wes. He told me that he was in Michigan. I talked to, what what's the married couple's name? Oh my goodness, I'm just drawing a blank.
Kyler and Cheyenne.
Thank you. Thank you. Kyler and Cheyenne, they are both doing fine. And I also spoke with, now this is just really ridiculous. Who was our president before me that went off to college?
Diego.
Diego, yes.
Diego?
Diego. And he also is doing well. And he is, let's see, he says, it's good to hear from you. After a few years, things are getting better here in grad school. Grad school, fortunately. Hope you are doing well as well. And he said, how is Toastmasters going? Tell everyone we said hey. And I have a few more that I'm going to reach out to, and I will let you know when we've talked. I spoke with, what's his name, Muhammad? Wasn't that one of, he went to Texas? I'm terrible with names.
You're
Let's
close.
see.
I mean, it's on the tip of my tongue, but I
I
Yeah.
cannot think of it. I sent him a message and he didn't respond. Hold on, let me tell you what his name is.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had, or I tried to remember.
Majid Abdul. Yes,
Right,
Majid.
right.
He didn't respond. I spoke with Crystal Lockett. She's doing well. And I have not, which I've talked to him a couple of times, but I have not reached out to Luke yet. So Luke, Sean, and it was a couple others that I'm going to reach out to. So I'll let you know if we get any feedback. That is it for my role this evening as Toastmaster, and I would like to return the lectern back to our president, Maurice.
All right. Thank you, Olivia.